Hi, everyone. Welcome to Spirit of Color on Be Live Network. Here we are with Star Nations. And tonight we will be talking about meditation and the beginner's mind. And joining me will be, of course, my Spirit of Color co-host, Neshi Lokotz, and Donna Thompson.
Hey, everybody.
Hey,
hi,
good
guys.
Evening.
Welcome. We can hear us all. That's a good thing. Always a good thing for these shows. So tonight's topic is something that I think all three of us have been studying and practicing for years, probably 20, 30 years. I know I have for over 30 years. And I wanted to name it Beginner's Mind because I think it's a practice that's always helpful to go back to the simple, basic beginnings. Because you always learn something new with the knowledge that you've gained over the years, but you go back to the beginning and you go, oh, I see that a little differently now than maybe when I was 27 and first starting out with this spiritual path and people were talking about sitting in lotus position and doing some type of meditation. And also, I wanted the show to be for those who maybe don't meditate yet and would like to learn some tools and techniques and ideas, because there's so many different ways to meditate. There's not just one way, right, ladies?
Absolutely.
We know that, and so you're going to find the right niche for you. You're going to find the one that's easiest for you. And it might just be for that time in your life, for this period in your life, and then you'll find something else. Because, I know over the years I've changed modalities of how I meditate and what tools I use to meditate with. And so tonight I'm hoping we'll talk about a large variety. Between the three of us, we should have had a large variety of different meditation trials and errors, and what's worked for us and maybe what hasn't. So, first I'd like to start out with the definition. I went online to see what are they calling meditation, as the definition. And I think this is kind of simplistic, but the simple and effortless process where you connect with the silence and peace within yourself. So, the connecting with the silence and peace within yourself, but the simple and effortless process, I don't know if I agree with that. It was never simple and effortless for me at the beginning. Now, as I've worked with it, it's much easier. But it is about that going within, that connecting with, for me, it's that connecting to my heart, connecting to my quiet space. And what about you two? I'd like to hear what your definitions of meditation are before I do a little sample meditation. So Neshi, what about you? What would your definition be?
The one that I like the most and that means the most to me is meditation is when we're quiet and we're listening to the Creator. Mm-hmm. It's the conversation. Whereas for me, prayer is when we're asking for something or being thankful for something, it's our part of the conversation where we're more verbal, so to speak.
Yep.
Whereas meditation is that we're in stillness and quiet, listening and receiving. To me, that's meditation.
Great. Yeah, that listening. And Donna, what about you?
For me, it's quieting the mind. Or allowing the mind to quiet by following the breath.
What about you?
For me, it's quieting the mind.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
What happened?
It was me, my phone. I was trying to do comments. So go ahead, Donna. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
So for me, it was just a big delay. I was confused.
Yeah.
So for me, the very basis of meditation is you first quiet your mind, you know, and you go in through the breath. So you just begin to focus on the breath. Notice that I notice the mind first because the mind is usually jabbering away, da 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 da. So I just start with the breath. I just start to notice the breath, ride the breath, and begin to gently tell the mind, just
yeah. And Donna, that's a great segue into the meditation that I found that I want to use today, because it is a very simple meditation, but a lot about that breath, a lot about what you just described. So for our century meditation, for this meditation show, I thought I would just do a very simple one. So you guys ready? So just find a place to sit comfortably, or if you're listening to this, you can lie down as well. But somehow sit so that your spine is erect, either in a chair or on the floor. And now close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Just let the cares of the day go. And feel the points of contact between your body and the chair or the floor. Notice the sensations associated with sitting or lying, the feelings of pressure and warmth, where your body connects with the chair, and also any sensations in your body, any tinglings or vibrations as you breathe. And gradually become even more aware of the process of breathing. Pay attention to wherever you feel the breath most clearly, either at your nostrils, in the rising or falling, or the rising and falling of your abdomen. So the in and out through your nose, or is it more the sensation in your abdomen? And just breathing in and out at a natural pace for you. Allow your attention to rest in the mere sensation of breathing. And just breathe in a very natural way for you. That's great. You're doing really well. And just notice any time that your mind might wander in thought, just gently return it back to this sensation of breathing. And as you focus on the breath, you will notice that other perceptions and sensations continue to appear, like sounds in the room, or feelings in your body, or emotions. Simply notice. Notice these phenomena as they emerge into your field of awareness. And then simply return back to the sensation of breathing. Any moment that you observe that you may have been lost in thought, notice the present thought itself as an object of consciousness. Acknowledge that thought and then return your attention back to your breath. or to whatever sounds or sensations arise in the next moment for you. Continue in this way until you can merely witness all the objects of your consciousness, sights, sounds, sensations, emotions, and even thoughts themselves as they arise and pass away. And continue breathing. You're doing really well. And now breathe yourself back into this present moment, to being here on the Spirit of Color show. And know this is a simple meditation of just using your breath and using your sensation to take you deeper.
Lovely. Thank you, Minnie.
Yeah, you're welcome. What do you guys think about that?
Old school. That's good stuff.
I know. It's old school. It's very simple. And like I said, sometimes, it's nice to go back to those beginning, easy steps. And sometimes we make things more complicated than we need to, I remember, there's so many things that came up when I was doing that meditation, and remembering our teacher, Denise Lynn, telling us to tell people they're doing a good job, because people just don't know if they're doing it right, to constantly reaffirm, you're doing great, you're doing great, you're breathing really well, pretty funny. It's pretty funny.
But it does make a big difference. Yeah.
It does. It's simple, but when you're leading a meditation, it's really helpful. And also, the one part where I remember my friend Susie Anderson, who kind of was my first meditator, with me teaching me, she would always say, "Whatever sound in the room, let it take you deeper and deeper. Whatever, if the dog's barking or whatever's going on, the airplane's going overhead,
Yeah, wasn't in Denise Lynn's classes, it was and every sound with every breath that you take and every sound that you hear, you just go deeper and deeper, and get more and more relaxed.
Yes,
I don't know how many times.
Right. So just the simple things. So in some of my research, I just wanted to share with our listeners why it's helpful to meditate. And there's been a lot of research actually done on meditation. I think, more so than maybe a lot of the other spiritual modalities, there's been a lot of research. And interestingly, I'm finding that the research kind of lines up a lot with the forest therapy work that I've been doing of what they found that it does for the physical body. Meditation decreases the stress hormone, cortisol. So it decreases cortisol levels in our body. In that way, it relieves anxiety and depression. It lowers blood pressure. It triggers our relaxation response, and actually they can measure this. We release more nitric oxide in our body, which opens up our blood vessels. So that lowers our blood pressure. And it also increases our immunity. And in force therapy, we call it the killer cells. Increases those cells in our body that fight off the viruses and bacteria. The leukocytes and I can't even say this. Leukocytes and lymphocytes. So, there's been scientific research that proves that it's very helpful. So why don't we do it more? That's my question. It should be part of our everyday routine if it's so healthy and healthful for us. So my first questions to you, ladies, are what was your first experience with meditation? When did you first try it out for yourself? So, Neshi, to share with us, when did you first
when I read that question,
discover that word?
when I read that question, my mind went to two different experiences. One when I was very young, and another when I was probably in my, early 40s maybe, when I actually did, like a official meditation. The one when I was younger, my mom, it was part of our punishment if we were not being good, right? She would be outside. She would make us sit down no matter where we were at, and we couldn't look at each other. Me and my brothers, two of my brothers, we had to sit with our backs to each other until she told us we could get up. We couldn't talk, and here we are out wherever it was in the front yard usually, and and we'd have to sit there until she came and got us. And after the first 10 or 15 minutes, you really just kind of start looking around at nature around you, and being quiet. It's just a natural occurrence once that happens. That's probably my first experience in quieting the mind, or allowing the mind just to not be the driver, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thought about it a couple of times out there.
Right.
At least that's what she says. Maybe it was just so quiet she was enjoying it for a while. But my very first official meditation was using a CD and doing a meditation. It was part of yoga, and so that was the very first one. And and quieting the mind, even though I'd been doing this for a while, unofficially, when you sit down and you think, okay, I'm going to do this, and if your mind just starts, thinking about all this other stuff that you should be doing, could be doing, don't forget that, do this.
Yeah.
All those things. Yeah. That was my first experience, was with, I think it was a CD, along with some asanas. And that was my first real official meditation. By myself.
Right. And how did that affect your life at that time? Did it have an impact for you?
I want to say the yoga was probably more impactful than the meditation, but that to me was, my goal was to be better at yoga. And and so the meditation piece really didn't come into play, I would say, not until we officially started doing space clearings, because it combined two things that, the space clearing, the meditation before we actually go into the home. And to me, it didn't than just to be healthy and to be quiet.
Right. Yeah. Right. Like punishment meditation, yes. Actually, that sounded a lot like a sit spot to me in forest therapy, and actually what your mom had you doing, really. It's pretty smart outside.
I'd rather do that than weed the garden. But
Oh yeah. So, Donna, what were your first experiences with meditation?
So my very first experience, I remember so well. The year was 1987. I was a freshman in college, and I signed up to take a yoga class. It was the very first time I had ever done yoga. I think I knew next to nothing about it. I don't know what got me there. I'm sure I needed just a PE credit or something, you know, and I knew like this much about it. 1987. Okay. That was a while ago. That was like way before, you know, yoga mats and TJ Maxx, if you know what I'm saying. So I go to this class, right? We do all these postures, you know, and I'm just like, you know, like this is a whole new experience. I think I'd ever put my body in some of those positions ever before in my life, right? In this big room with all these kids, you know, I'm still a freshman, right? So just the experience of, you know, being with, you know, all these upperclassmen, whatever. So we do a whole yoga class, and then she says, okay, lie down. Now it's time for relaxation. I was like, what? You know, like, what's it? Right? So like lying on the floor, and she just starts, you know, like doing, you know, like talking you through meditation. And I don't remember, it probably wasn't the first class. It probably was like a couple of classes, right, into the semester. So I'm lying in relaxation. All of a sudden, I see that I'm looking down at my body from above. Mm-hmm. I had like an out-of-body experience in meditation and yoga class.
Really?
And for a couple of seconds, I was just like, okay, yeah, there's my body. And then, of course, you know, so new, I freaked. You know, I was just like, wow. And, you know, I remember like landing back in my body with a thought, you know, I just like jumped. I was like, oh my gosh. But, you know, because you scramble to get back in your body, right? If you go into that kind of fear when you're having
right.
that kind of, right? What'd you say, Neshi?
Bad landing.
Yeah, like a bumpy landing, right? When you're doing like lucid dreaming or whatever. So that was my first experience. And, you know, that was like huge. It opened up such a door for me. So, but then it took 4 or 5 years for me to take another yoga class because you know, I was in college. I was in college for 5 years, undergraduate. And then I was out maybe about a year and working, and I heard about a local guy who was teaching meditation out of his home. He and his wife like opened up their home and they were leading meditation class. And so I started going to that regularly. And then, so, you know, I had 5 years under my belt. I was that much older and, you know, and that's when I really began to develop a yoga practice. And I realized like, this is totally for me. Like I have to do that. I have to do this. And I've been doing yoga and meditation ever since. And, you know, for me, they're totally intertwined just because that's how I experienced it, right? I experienced meditation first in a yoga class. And so even though they're two very separate practices, they're just intertwined for me because of my history and my experience with them. But yoga really changed everything for me. It was one of the first times that I was relaxed. You know, I had a lot of stress in my home environment growing up. And I just, you know, when you have that, like you're just not even aware. That's how you function, right? And so it was the beginning of understanding that, oh, there is a calmer way to be in the body and that you can calm the breath and you can calm the mind and come into harmony with the body. You know, it's like being a fish in water. If you're raised that way and you just don't understand. You just think that's the way things are. And, you know, you said earlier, Minnie, like, why is it that one of your questions is, why is it that we don't meditate more? You know, in this day and age, now that we know there's all this great science and it's so popular and you could go on YouTube and have a free meditation video, right?
Right.
And for me, I really think it's because it's not part of this culture still. We're not raised that way. If anything, we're raised the opposite. You know, we're just raised to be worker bees, energizer bunnies, productive.
Yeah.
And more, it seems to me like for adults, you know, the new cool is like, how busy are you? Right? How busy are you? That's kind of like, right? That means you're like really mature and productive. And it's like, ooh. You know, so everything in the culture is sort of, it's like stacked against, you know, even though, yes, there's a whole yoga culture and people who meditate, still day to day, it's all about being busy and getting a lot of things done. And that's the nature of at least American culture at this point in time. So that's,
I I have to agree with you. Do you remember transcendental meditation? Was it the 70s,
Yes.
and 80s? You know,
Yes.
and trying that out was, to me, it was like work. You know, it was like I had to really work at it because I didn't understand it at the time. You know, and you're right. I think about the culture. Um, yeah,
Yeah, it's like we're almost seen as being lazy if we relax, you know?
Absolutely,
If
right.
we take time for ourselves to care for ourselves, we're being selfish and lazy, you know? Um, yeah, interesting. Our first meditation experiences were through yoga. Mine was as well. Although I wasn't brave enough to go to a class. I bought a little paperback book on 30 days of yoga, and it had a different yoga position for each day, and then at the end of the 2 pages there would be a meditation of the day. And I think I like the meditations the most from that little book. I wish I had kept that book. I don't have it. But I remember like one of them was just staring at the candle, that was, one of the days was just to watch the flame. But I loved all of that. And then I got brave enough to go to a real yoga class back in like 1986. And it was my friend Susie, and she did a beautiful yoga class, but she had the most beautiful voice for meditation. And that was my very favorite part of the yoga class. I would go to yoga just to do the meditations with her. And people, raved about her meditations. And then finally we got her to just teach meditation class, We liked the yoga, but she started doing more, just spiritual studies. Because back then, late 80s, early 90s, it was still hard to find spiritual teachers and guides. And so, we didn't have the internet like we do now. It's amazing how you can just YouTube is crazy. Any meditation you would want is available to you. It's all there. Right. So now I'd like to talk about what we do now. What's your favorite way to meditate now? We've talked about what we did in the 70s and 80s, but what are you doing now? Here we are 34 years later. What works for you now, Neshi?
Actually, I found that Awakening Illuminated Heart work, what it taught me about meditation was to be in the dark. And I find that so relaxing to do my meditations in complete darkness. So dark you can't see your hand in front of your face.
Yeah. Like sensory deprivation tanks. Yeah.
And so, even if you're in there for a couple of minutes, it feels like a long time because you don't have the sense of actual time. I did find that I really do have to set a timer though, because you do lose track of time or the sense of time, and
yeah,
you really do need a timer when you go in. And so, for the longest time, that's
so. Where do you meditate? Where did you find that dark room, Neshi? How do you create that?
You love that at my house.
I know, but tell people because they need.
Yeah. I have this room. I used to call it the meditation room, and then every time I'd start to say it, it would come out medicine room, and so that's what I started calling it. It's the medicine room. Is a bedroom that didn't have any windows. When the previous owners did an addition onto this house, with that new addition, they took out the window in that bedroom. And so they were using it as like a guest room or, a storage room kind of thing. And when I walked in, when we bought this house, it's like, wow, a room with no windows. It's going to be really dark in here, right? And so that's my medicine room. That's where I meditate. And when I close the door, and I have a curtain over the door because otherwise you can see the lights around the edge of the door.
frame. Yeah.
And so when I'm in there, literally, it is pitch black in there. And so that's where I do my meditation. I do have to say that for most of last year, it was meditation was not an easy path for me. Every time I went in to meditate, I'd fall asleep. And I'm much more self-disciplined than that. And it got to the point where I was just, not very good to myself. I would be saying, what the heck? What's going on with you that you can't even do a meditation? And so I realized I was just sleep deprived. And if I'm going to, I'd rather just go in and take a nap and be good to myself than to try to meditate and feel like I'm doing it wrong. And so most of last year, my meditations turned out to be naps. And starting out this in the new year, I'm back to going into meditation at least, a couple minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day. It really does notice the difference. It's just calmer, just a lot calmer. Mm-hmm. And I love my medicine room.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a wonderful room to sleep in overnight. You have good dreams in that room. I like it a lot. And Donna, what are you doing for meditation at the present time?
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I keep hearing this crackling noise, and I'm not sure where it's coming from. And it's okay.
I think it's you. I think it's you, Min. When you move, something about when you move, there's feedback.
Oh.
Okay, I'll try to be still there.
I don't know. Either if you're moving your hair, maybe you're hitting your mic or something. Maybe.
Oh, maybe it's that. Yeah.
Let's move this hair back.
Yeah. It's definitely that.
Okay, it's Minnie's hair. All right, thank you.
So for me these days, one of my absolute favorite places to meditate is on the couch with my guru meditation teacher, Miss and she's working on it. Mira, my cat Mira. She is just, she has such a way. Now, one might think that she's like napping, but she loves to like get in your lap and be calm. And she has just like such a calming effect on both myself and my husband. And she's a very energy sensitive little girl, as most most of our pets really are. She knows like when we're too wound up, if we're stressed out, and she starts to get stressed, and she follows around, and, and she just does everything she can. Just like her mission is to get you to sit down and hold her so that she can help you to relax. And so there's my spot, like it just,
there you go. I love it.
5 minutes. Yeah. But I also love meditating outside when the weather's nice, go for a walk and then stand up against a tree or sit down at the base of a tree is actually my ultimate favorite, because then you have your butt on the ground, you're connecting, you're drawing earth energy up through your root chakra. You've got the support of a tree behind you, working on your spine, and you're outside in nature. Like, that's great. And I also love just sitting on a big rock, in the woods, just like a nice, big, flat, comfortable stone. That I've really done since I was a kid. I didn't call it meditation. I didn't know it was meditation, but there were lots of big rocks out in the woods all around, our property and my grandparents' property. And I would go into the woods and just sit on a rock, for like long periods of time. So that's definitely another favorite. But I know we're getting to group meditation, right? But I enjoy too, like a good class where you're, after yoga and then you're on the floor in Shavasana in a class with other people. There's something special about that energy.
Yeah.
So those are my main favorites.
Oh, thanks. Cool. I love, of course, all that nature piece. For me, I will meditate in the morning before I turn my computer on. I'll come up to my office and I'll get a legal pad and a pen, and I'll go and sit on my day bed and meditate to connect with the energy for the day. Or if there's something that's been on my mind to, try to look at it from a higher perspective, or to get some guidance from my guides and my angels about what's going on, I might write a question on my legal pad, and then I'll go into meditation and listen. Like Neshi said at the very beginning, it's about listening. And sometimes it comes in words, sometimes it's images, and sometimes it's the whole movie, but I should have said before I meditate, I light a candle and I smudge myself and I smudge the room. That helps to set the tone for me for the meditation. So that's probably the most often way I consciously meditate. I do a lot of meditation outside as well, like Donna talked about. Just today I do sit spots with the dog. My dog, Rosie, she's a very hyper dog, but when she gets outside, if I just hold her in my lap, she'll get really still and we'll just watch everything together. So we'll just do a sit spot and watch the birds, and we got to do that today because it was finally warm enough in Michigan. It's like 52. Oh, exciting. And so that is another form of meditation, and I know that's very good. I can feel my heart rate slowing down. I can feel my blood pressure dropping. But also I do a lot of meditation for my work, for feng shui and space clearing, that Neshi brought up before too, where I'm meditating with a floor plan. I'm doing perhaps a remote viewing where I'm actually going to the house in meditation beforehand, or I'm space clearing it beforehand because it's so much easier to do that work energetically instead of waiting till you get there in the physical. So there's a lot of meditation that happens in my work, and so I've learned how to do that, tune into that very quickly by holding the floor plans and holding the written communication from the client in my hands, and then I'm able to go in and meditate with the guardian of the house and the guardian of the land and those pieces, and talk to them. So there's a communication that happens in those meditations that is advising, much like my morning meditations too, where there's almost an advisor type session happening with my guides. So
you want to hear something kind of strange? Is as I'm listening to both of you, I'm thinking, there's other times during the day that I find myself being able to do a quasi meditation. I call it that because it's not my intention to sit down and actually do meditation. But I find myself, when I'm doing the most mundane things, that keeps my mental mind busy, and so that I can zone out on the other thing. Ironing, doing dishes, sometimes
dishes. That's a good one. Yeah.
If people have, they feel like they can't quiet the mind, that it just interrupts them all the time when they're trying to do a meditation, and they're trying, they are working very consciously about fitting meditation into their life, right? And they're having problems with that monkey mind, as it's called. Is that I found that if you do something that will give your mind a job to do, and it doesn't have to be anything grand or anything like that, as long as it has something to occupy itself, something repetitive, something
washing the floors. Yep. Yeah. I do that with gardening too. I notice I call it, I go into my Zen place, but I'm gardening and I'm doing the physical work and I'm talking to the plants, but then something else is really happening too. And you can tell by how you feel if you've been meditating like that. I think you feel calm, and you know that you haven't been worrying about this or that.
Yeah. And also one that works is even if you'd count, have your mind counting,
Yeah.
and the rest
Yep.
of it just kind of, relaxes, noticing your breath, but your mind is doing some sort of counting, and it gives the mind something, a job to do, and it's not as intrusive of trying to get your attention to say, this is, you have to do this and you have to do that, and all those other things that kind of come into play. So I just wanted to mention that, because sometimes meditation isn't necessarily.
No, that's great.
Sitting in
That's great. Isn't a conscious thing.
The mudra.
Yeah.
That's good
Yeah.
too. That's good too. It's just that especially when you first start out, or if you've got a lot on your mind, sometimes more a meditation that is either for walking or counting or something to give the mental mind something to do.
Right. I've also, I remember when I first started meditation, like music was really important. Like instrumental music could take me to that calm place. It would be a layer of my meditation was to put the music on in the background for that. And I want to say this to the busy working moms out there, how I meditated when my kids were young, because I think that was the hardest time to carve out that time, was I would set my alarm clock for like 20 minutes before I would normally get up. And I would have at that time, my little cassette player with its earphones. And I had my little guided meditations all set on my cassette player. And I would do that 20-minute meditation. And if the kids walked in the bedroom, if they got up early and they saw Mom had her headphones on, they were not to disturb me. They knew I would get up as soon as I was done with my meditation. But, I let them know that I'm carving out this time for me. And that was really important. And it was a wonderful way to start my day as a busy mom, was, to have that meditation time for myself first thing. Because otherwise, never found the time later. It wasn't going to happen.
It wasn't going to happen, right?
No, it wasn't. So let's go to, our third question was about group meditation. What do you think about group meditation? Have you experienced that, and in what way? And Neshi, I know you've done that, so.
Oh yeah.
Share with us.
I've been a participant in group meditations before, where we have a topic or a subject that we are meditating on, specifically. And when you have that kind of group energy to it, talk about shifting the energy in the room. And it seems that you can carry or hold that vibration of that meditation after it's done for longer periods of time. Don't know why. But for me,
it sticks with you.
To hold it for longer periods of time. And I've led group meditations, and my favorite one to lead is the Unity Breath meditation, because it's all based on love and that vibration that's unique to Grandmother Earth and Grandfather Sky, and bringing it together in you. That is one of my favorite ones to lead. It's one of my favorite ones to do. So, and I have to say that this picture that I have up, I'm going to do it solo. One of our contributing writers, Paul Krauss, does a lot of meditation, and he writes a lot about meditation. And this is one of his pictures of places where he's been to meditate. And I just love this picture because it's so zen. It's like
it's so calming. I want to go hop on one of those blankets, man.
I know, one of those pillows, right? And yeah. But to me, with a group meditation, it has a completely different feeling to it. If you've never done it before, I would encourage you to do that. And yoga is a good place to start with that, I think. It was for me anyway, to do one of those groups. You know, the one at the end. What's that one called? Was it called the dead man's pose?
Shavasana?
Yeah.
Shavasana.
And,
Yeah.
you know, basically it's just to recoup and just to be still. And even with that in a group is just, I love it. I love the feeling of it. So that's.
It's always hard to get up from that and go home after yoga class. Like, I don't want to leave.
I know.
Yeah. And your group meditations, Donna, what have you done? You talked a little bit about the yoga.
I'm not sure if you can hear me. Am I back up?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely yoga. I've also done, I've done some online group meditations where you tune in with a group of people, could be totally like on the other side of the world, and there's a date and time set, and people say, okay, we're going to link up and we're going to meditate for world peace or peace in a certain area of the world. Like remembering a few times James Twyman, someone people might know, who's led some really wonderful meditations for peace in the Middle East. And to link up with those kinds of groups can be really, really powerful. I'm sure we've probably done some of our own as well, too, right? Like Star Nations has done them, and trying to think what other, maybe some of our classes we've done together. So that's a great way to experience it too. So you don't have to be able to, if you have a tight schedule or, you don't get to travel or take classes, there's still lots of online ways that you can link up and join a group meditation. And then I also lead group meditations when I teach my Collage Quest classes. And these days each workshop starts with a type of group meditation where we start out and we link up with color, because color is the entry point for the work that I do. And so I guide people through that. And then from the meditation where people are sitting quietly, in a seat with their eyes closed, then they're told ahead of time that they're going to move from that quiet sitting space to flow over to the table where the supplies are, and then you start to work with collage. So it goes from a sitting meditation really to a form of walking meditation. So I love to work in that way, because I find that it's just night and day if you can help people to get to that relaxed state and quiet the mind and quiet the voice, because it's fun and you get together with a group of people. And often I teach smaller classes, and so a few people always know each other, right? It's nice to come together and you want to chat. And it took me several years to realize that I had to be like, okay, so while we work, it's not really chatting time, and
Right.
Now I'm totally fine with it. I just set that space at the beginning, but it took a progression of years to realize that that's really what the work wanted. It's not the same work if people aren't in that meditative space. It's really quite something else. And people get the best results when it's basically an ongoing meditation. First it's a sitting meditation, and then it turns into like a moving, walking, collaging meditation. And that can go on for a couple hours. So it's really great to work in that way.
I agree with that, Donna, because I've done collage both ways. And when I do it with your classes, you're just like, you're in a meditation like the whole class time, really. And you do go deeper, and it's a more intimate experience than the socializing, treasure mapping piece that I've done, which both are fun. I'm saying they're but for the experience of me really tuning into the information from spirit, I get a lot more when I do it in that very mindful way. So Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really why I do it, because it's about listen, asking, like, show me what I need to see, what do I need to collage and find. And if you're not quiet, you're not going to hear what you're being told. So that's why we work in that way.
Coming back. You can't hear then, right? And that's in force therapy. We aren't chatting while we're walking through the woods either. You know, everyone's in their own special sensory bubble, I would call it, of experience in nature in their own way. So they have their own unique experience. For me, I love to do meditation in group. There is something powerful with more than two people in a space are doing that work together. I'm thinking of I did a walking meditation one time with a group in Thailand. We were walking around a chupa, one of those beautiful round monument type pieces that they have there. I don't know what they call them actually. But we were just walking as slow as we could, and probably at least 2 or 3 feet away from each other, so we weren't in anyone's space. And it was like connecting with the earth and connecting with we were also with the group, but we were just listening to the land and listening to the sacred energy of that site. And that was really powerful. I have done online group meditations for like healing water, Dr. Emoto's work. I'm doing that at the same time, the same day with people, and I'm out, walking. I'm taking my water and praying with it and walking it on my property, and there's, I'm doing that at the same day with people, and someone's voice, someone's volume's on again.
Wait
another. I was trying to get in the Facebook chat room, and I just
I know. Turn the volume off. So group meditation is probably another one that was really powerful. And it was early on when I started studying a bit with the Coptics, and they had a New Year's Day morning meditation at the church at like 5 a.m. I mean, I had to get up at, the butt crack of dawn. I had to drive over there, but it was so perfect because it was dark and it was still and it was quiet and it was winter. And we all just came into the church. There was no socializing happening at all. It was filled with candles. And we were just doing our prayers for peace for the new year. And that was really, how beautiful to do that with a group of people. Wouldn't have been the same by myself, Right. So that was a beautiful one. So, gosh, we are.
I've got something that
8 minutes. Oh, please, because we've got a little bit more time.
I want to show somebody this. This is your article that you wrote in this month's magazine.
Oh,
and
I see.
Well, I wanted to show it because you have it communicating with Gaia, and in this particular article, you were talking about how we can go out and listen to Grandmother Earth, right? And to me, that is also a meditation, because in order to hear her and feel her, many times you have to be quiet. You have to be in that meditative state to be able to absorb what she's showing us, right? Do you have anything that you want to add to that? Because even that picture is like...
That picture's at Glacier National Park in a beautiful prairie called Two Dog Flats. That's just full of wild lupin and all kinds of wild natural wildflowers. And St. Mary's Lake is in the distance there with the mountains behind. I have such an intimate relationship with Gaia. But it's grown over time, and it has grown from listening and being quiet and still. And and as I talk about in the article, it's it's listening, but it's also watching for signs. There's signs constantly in nature. I mean, Donna knows with the feathers, that told her to buy her house in Nova Scotia. There's just signs being shown to us all of the time, and the animals that show up, and the birds that are calling at the moment. Whatever's happening. Tonight we were out walking, and the vultures were circling overhead, and it was so beautiful. So there's always something to pay attention to out in nature. There's always, and that's a way to connect to that inner peace that we talk about with meditation, right? So, yeah, nature's a wonderful vehicle for it.
I'm going to give it one more shot here so people can take a look at it. When we were talking about meditation, and to me, when we go out into nature, I love being out there and being quiet. And some people have problems with that.
Mm-hmm.
You and my friends, are very, very chatty. And when we go out and have people talking to me, I've gotten to the point where I let them know that I'm going to be quiet for a while. And I'm going to walk in the back. And because that way it's my chance to be able to really connect to wherever we're at. Without I'm not telling them they can't talk. It's just, I just need a couple minutes by myself to be able to really connect and see what's really going on.
Neshi, when we're out hiking out in Rocky Mountain National Park, I often, I use the excuse of I'm going to stay back and take photographs, because I am, and I'm slower. And so, they know not to worry about me. I'm not tired. I'm not, I'll catch up with them, but it's usually just so I can have that alone time, and without the chatter or the conversation that comes from the hikers, because I want to do my forest therapy work as I go, and sometimes I'll just stop and I'll let them know, you guys go on to the waterfall. I'm going to be at this rock. I'll be here when you get back, and I'll be perfectly happy for an hour here. And they're like, what? Yeah, I'll be right here. I won't go anywhere, So that's always interesting.
Well, I know that there's so many people who listen to our shows who do have a connection to being outdoors, and to be able to take your meditation from one spot to another really is a way to deepen your connection to spirit, because spirit talks to you differently in different places. At least that's what I've noticed anyway. And you're right. Outdoors and someplace that is away from so much of the people stuff is really a great place to give that a try.
Yeah, water is another wonderful place. The ocean or a lake, any kind of water. Yeah, Donna?
For me, when I'm in nature, and especially if I'm with other people, it's I crave the quiet because that's how I can watch birds, and that's how I was trained as a little kid, and I've always been. So that's like my nice excuse, like, wait, we have to be quiet so we can hear the birds, so we don't scare them away. And I always could try to use that to help people, quiet the mind. That's sort of like my prerequisite. Like, if you're going in the woods with me, I'm going to be watching birds, and I'm really not going to be talking. So that's what's going to happen. Yeah. Exactly. So we have just a couple minutes. So I'd love you two to share what you're up to when you're not doing the radio shows here. What are you up to, Donna? I am up to collage mostly these days. So I have another Collage Quest workshop coming up locally here in my hometown. That's going to be on May 1st, which is Beltana, for those who follow the Celtic Wheel and celebrate that. So that'll be really fun. And if you want more information about that, you can connect with me on Facebook through Collage Quest Facebook page. And you can always reach out to me through my website, which is healinginteriors.com.
Excellent. Okay. And Miss Neshi.
Okay. Hang on. I'm trying to
Star Nation. Yes.
I was trying to get Donna's and her website. Here we go. Well, for me, it's Star Nation's everything. Between helping shows promoted, working on getting stuff updated, we're just starting the May issue. We just published the April issue on the 10th of April, and so that's always about promoting it. And I have to say that I also have one of the articles in there by Paul Krauss, because I told you he writes a lot about meditation. In the April issue, his article is Meditation Skills Live in the Now, and he was talking about how meditation actually helps you to be more present in the present, and not so much in the past or trying to project to the future. And I love that article, and I wanted to bring that up during our show because it is all about meditation and the benefits of it.
Yeah.
And he comes at it from the path of a Buddhist. So it's a wonderful article, and so it's all about my work these days is all about doing the promotion stuff and getting prepared for the May issue. We've got a couple books coming up. By the end of the year, we'll have 2 more books published. One by Fortune Franklin and another children's book by our good sister, our friend, Christine.
Yay!
That's
wonderful.
Awesome.
We'll be working on a perpetual calendar too. I haven't quite started that one, but hopefully by August we'll have at least the pictures selected and that sort of thing. Yeah. So we got some good stuff going on.
Yep. Well, I have 2 forest therapy walks coming up. One May 6th is in Davisburg, Michigan, through the Shiawassee River Basin. There's information on my website at minniekansman.com about that, and I just posted that up how to register on my website. You register through their recreation center. And then I'm hosting one here in Portland, Michigan on June 2nd, where we're going to Chief Okemos' gravesite, which is a beautiful, beautiful hill, a ridge above the Grand River, hidden away in the middle of farm country. So we're all meeting at my house so I can take everyone to it because it was tricky to find. But it's a beautiful site, and we're going to be doing a drumming around his gravesite for that after the forest therapy walk too. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then May 11th through the 24th, I will be on my Mystic travel trip to Italy and Greece. So I'll be taking
coming right up.
27 of us going, and it's going to be a beautiful trip, and I can't wait to share when we get back about our adventures. So maybe there'll be some Spirit of Color shows about Greece and all of that blue and white, and I can't wait.
I can't wait to see the pictures.
Well,
I know.
I know. I can't wait to take them.
Daily posts on Facebook, I hope.
Well, of course. Or Bev Borman does that. Just be friends with Bev, and you'll get our food and every building, everything we're in. She does that really well. So thank you, my dear friends, for being with me tonight and talking about something that we love, meditation. And I hope that our listeners have learned something that they can share in their practice of meditation as they go throughout the year here. So I'm going to sign off for Spirit of Color and Star Nations and our Be Live broadcast. Thanks all for listening, and those who are listening in the archives. We appreciate you. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thanks, everyone.